nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Could we get a roll call vote, please? Or, excuse me, a roll call, not a vote yet, just a roll call.
Commissioner Webster?
Here.
Commissioner Holzhausen?
Here.
Commissioner Garber?
Here.
Commissioner Marks?
Absent.
Absent.
Is he planning on coming?
Pardon me?
Is he planning on?
I haven't heard, so.
Oh, okay.
Commissioner Plowman?
Here.
And Chairman Broder.
Here. All right, thank you. At this time, we have an opportunity for the public to address us. We'll have our standard rules in place with a 3-minute limit. But before that, I would like to read off. We have, fortunately, a wealth of candidates that we'll be considering tonight, so I wanted to read the names. We have, this is in the order in which they received their applications. So we have Brad Howard, Tony Karhoff, Dina Finnegan, Jeff Reed, Robert Vandermark, and Zaid Edward Vandenboss. So, is there anyone from the public who would like to address this board?
Why not? I will. I guess I want to appeal. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell that you guys will appoint a Democrat tonight. But I do want to appeal against the blind party dedication that's here. The reason we're in this mess is because of that blind party dedication. It wasn't the fact that the guy got in a drinking and driving accident, or alleged to have his truck had inadvertently found its way into a pit, and he got out of that. No one ever figured that one out. It wasn't the fact that he wrote himself a $25,000 check and then had to rescind it. The only reason that we're here tonight is because he was getting horizontal refreshment, or seeking horizontal refreshment, from people other than his girlfriend who happens to sit on this board. So rather than blind party dedication, let's stop appointing people who are just here because, they're here because they know somebody or they belong to the right party. Let's pick them because they're quality people. Let's pick them because of their quality of their character, not the party that they have to sit in. Because you guys have embarrassed us on a global basis, one and all. And it's time that we're not in the newspapers for something stupid. Let's do something smart tonight. Pick somebody good, not somebody that you guys picked in a bar someplace last week. Okay? Have a good night.
I have a question.
Your name, please?
Don Supernaw. And I live in Corona, District 3. Gary Holtzhausen, my commissioner. And what's the procedure tonight? What's happening?
I'll be explaining it.
Pardon me?
I'll be explaining.
You'll be explaining. Okay. And I also need a status on criminal charges on the Board of Commissioners, because everyone that was there was admitted guilt. When they had the money and they gave the money back, that automatically admitted guilt. I'd like to know where that stands in the legal process. You can answer that now, or you can answer it later. I don't care. I want to know.
Is there anyone else? All right. Any commissioner comments on public comment? Hearing none, we'll close that portion. We're going to move on to the discussion of the appointment. And first of all, I'd like to talk about how we're going to do this tonight. Each of the 6 candidates, in the order in which they apply, will be given 5 minutes to address the board and the public for whatever they want. It'll be up to you what you talk to us about. Give us a 5-minute introduction. Each of the candidates has supplied, in greater and lesser degrees, information about themselves to this board, and it'll give us a chance to hear personally from the candidates. After that period, then I will open it up to this board for general questions to the candidates, specific questions to the candidates, or discussion among the board members. What I ask for during that time of my fellow board members, I generally have a fairly light gavel in this position, but today I'd like us to make sure that we, a little more than usual, follow the rules of Robert's Order. Please be recognized by the chair so we're not talking out of turn, that we wait our turn, we don't have several people speaking at the same time. I also ask the audience to respect that process and not make comments out of turn and so on. After we close that portion, then the floor will be opened for nominations. And further discussion after someone moves. If there are several nominations, that'll be fine. We'll have more discussion if need be. And then I will call for a roll call vote. The roll call vote at that time is Caroline will call each commissioner's name, and we will say the last name of the candidate that we are supporting for this nomination. If one candidate has 4 votes, then we're done. If not, then we're going to have to move into further discussion and see what we can do from there. Any questions about any of that?
Even though there's only 5 of us here, still has to be 4?
That's a good question. Eric?
That's correct.
I thought so. We still need 4. It has no.
There is a majority.
Pardon?
There is a majority here today. So,
There's still 6 members of the board, even though Commissioner Marks is not here. Thus, the majority is 4.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to clarify.
In the event that a candidate is asked a question specifically, then that candidate will have 2 minutes to answer that question. Anything else? All right then, thank you. At this time, I'd like to call Brad Howard, please, to come forward. And you have 5 minutes
Okay.
for whatever you want to say.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, board, for having me. My name is Brad Howard, 14408 County Line Road, Byron, Michigan. My experience is I was previously the township supervisor of Burns Township, and I have been serving for the past year on the Planning Commission and the Parks and Rec Commission for the county. If I was appointed, my goals would be, number 1, to execute the mandated duties of the Board of Commissioners, and also to secure financial responsibility and security for the county. I think that's an important thing. I know there's a lot going on with the county in terms of finances, and I think as a young citizen of this county, we need to have financial security long into the future. So that's something that I would be looking to do along with the mandated duties, of course. Above and beyond that, I have a wife and 4 kids. I have a full-time job as a professional engineer in the automotive industry, and I have my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Kettering University. That is really all I have to say, and I'll be happy to answer questions as needed.
Thank you very much. Any questions will come.
Okay,
If
perfect.
there are any, will come at the end.
Great.
Give each candidate their time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Tony Carl, please.
I'm going to have a seat here. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Well, I'm excited to be here tonight because one of my biggest goals since day one was to restore the integrity and transparency of this county board. We have the opportunity to move forward in a positive note. That being said, let me introduce myself. My name is Anthony David Karhoff. You can call me Tony. I own a small farm outside of Bancroft, Michigan, where I raise all different kinds of animals. You name it, I have it. Emus, chickens, ducks, geese, etc. Growing up was not easy for me I had ADHD and Asperger's syndrome, which led me to being kind of a mute in school. Being involved with 4-H and FFA has led me to where I am today. I may not seem like I'm nervous. I am nervous, but through over the years of learning how to public speak, but how to handle myself has been more important, both professionally and politely. As I look back at the Shiawassee County, and I look at the residents, and when this county was established in 1822, Shiawassee County was named after the river itself. And the river is in my back door, and Shiawassee has been my home for my whole life. I cannot emphasize how important it is for this board to select a candidate, not of party, but of personality and commitment to the community. Someone who has been there for national disasters, been there for county fair events, been there for the people themselves. And I'll give an example of that. When I was township supervisor in 2013, we had the ice storm that went through and devastated this county and put us into an emergency. As a local volunteer firefighter, I of course responded to dozens of emergency calls. But also on top of that, after I was done, I made sure that I spent my Christmas Eve and Christmas Day driving my township, checking on residents, knocking on doors, making sure that they were fine and safe. I worked with fellow firefighters and elected officials to set up warming shelters in our area, working with emergency management to make sure that we had the proper means to take care of our residents. But looking at it, Shiawassee County has 68,094 residents. 20 census says that. But Shiawassee County is very diverse. We have 16 townships. We have 6 cities. We have 6 villages and 2 charter townships that are very crucial to this infrastructure of this county. We as a board, as residents, we not only represent our one area, but everybody at large. That being said, in the past, what has happened is that transparency has been lacking, but I believe with a positive attitude, we can move forward. We need proper checks and balances. For example, other municipalities use online websites to actually show the digital markings of expenditures for the county. Income, revenues, expenditures. That there, I think, would very much improve the transparency with our residents to show where the money's going, how it's being spent, and so forth. Throwing in the ARPA money, then we can work on other things. I was reading on another municipality where they're using it for assisting residents with financial difficulties, paying their electricity bills, paying for certain things, life essential things. So looking at this, I would like to see an improvement and work towards that if selected as a commissioner to make sure that our website is brought up to date, which has been kind of lacking since 2019. I would like to make sure that we as a board work together, not as a party, but as individuals that serve for the right reason. To be there for the people, to be there for the community, and to be there for the right reasons. I know that there's been things in the past that we have disagreed on, but that's what boards are. We may not always agree on certain topics, but we have the opportunity to negotiate and work through those. And this board has that opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity, and
Thank you.
I have much more, but yes, we're good.
Dina Finnegan, please.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to be here tonight, and I'm fortunate that I've had the opportunity to speak with you, ask for this appointment, and that I know all of you through my position when I was the county prosecutor. I've been a resident of Shiawassee County for 50 of my 65 years. I live in my family home out at Nags Bridge, and after my parents died, I inherited that. What I bring to the table, I guess, is the knowledge that the reputation of this great little county is suffering, and it's suffering badly. Part of the problem we can see right upstairs in the prosecutor's office, where quality candidates will not apply for a job as an assistant prosecutor here. When I was an assistant prosecutor and a prosecutor, that was one of the most coveted jobs out there, to be a prosecutor and to work in this county. So number one, a priority is to reestablish the great reputation that Shiawassee County once had and can have again. And that's important. We need to be fiscally responsible. And I think I demonstrated that ability when I was your county prosecutor by staying within budget, always having a little left over at the end, and meeting all of my goals. The other thing we need to do is, and Tony, you are a tough act to follow, we need to be transparent. And I know Marlene has talked about that a lot, but we do need to be transparent. We can't have backroom politics. Those days are gone, where you meet afterwards and a couple of folks get together and say, this is what I think we got to do, let's make it happen. No, this is a group that has to be transparent and open. I failed at that during an Open Meetings Act violation, and I kicked myself 10 ways to Sunday because I wasn't, we had a secret vote for the township, or for the county treasurer, and I blew it. I went along with one of the other people on the board, or on the committee, and we had a secret vote. We corrected it, but it was wrong. So we have to be on top of those things. And I think my experience as a lawyer and as a former prosecutor is an added advantage. I won't get lax. I'll be slack in those areas. I will know the law. I can bring the law to this board, and I can bring a lot of other things to this board as well. Shiawassee County is my home. I have loved it here. I have devoted my life and my career to this county. I think I can bring those types of things and that goodwill that I established up in the prosecutor's office to this board. And that's what's important, getting the board back on its feet, getting the county the respect it deserves, and going forward and making it the bright spot it used to be in Central Michigan as I was growing up. So I look forward to the opportunity to work with all of you. If I'm not selected, I certainly understand. I have other things I can do, but I think I can bring something good to the table for the remainder of the term down in District 5. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jeff Reed, please.
I'm not going to take your 5 minutes. Everybody knows, since I've been to every one of these meetings since July, you probably got a good handle on who I am and where I come from and this, that, and the other. You probably have my dossier in front of you. I've been a resident of Shiawassee County now going on 18 years. I'm a transplant from the political volatile county of Genesee. My grandfather was sheriff of Genesee County for about 16 years, so I know the ins and outs of politics, and I hate them. I have a broad spectrum. I am retired as an expert in the metallurgical test industry. I've taught college, seven or eight different colleges. I didn't have the list in front of me and everything, but I think I might have taught Mr. Howard and everything, because if he came from Kettering, I taught the metallurgical test lab in Tinsel, Brunel, and microhardness. I don't recognize him and everything, but he was probably in my class. But anyway, I am experienced in labor negotiations, arbitration. About 10 years ago, I was on TV again when the Obama administration sent the FEMA people to force flood insurance on anybody who was within 2 inches of a mud puddle. That's probably the biggest experience I've ever had, because in the United States we're always taught that you are innocent until proven guilty. Well, when they're forcing flood insurance on you, you are guilty. They can tell you that you're in a flood thing, and you have to go out and pay a registered hydrologist to prove that you're not, and that's going to cost you $1,000. So I went through that, and Mr. president and everything, the FEMA people, what they did is they forced the flood insurance on your mortgage holder. And if they don't force it on you, whether you're in a floodplain or not, they charge your mortgage holder $500 a day in penalties. So I went through that. As far as nonprofits, I'm very experienced in 501c3s and C4s and setting up college scholarship funds, and between riding horses and training dogs all over the country. And I'm retired now, and as soon as this COVID deal gets done, I will be a fishing guide. I have a bucket list that says I'm going to win that Holloway Reservoir Walleye Tournament, because I've been in the top 10 4 different times and I lost it by 1/4 pound. So I'm a pretty good fisherman. So, but as far as broad, everything, I'm pretty much got a handle on everything. I like to go to meetings, and I've not seen any other commissioner at some of these smaller meetings, like Burns Township. I'll be there at their meeting on Monday. I've been to Vernon Township's meeting. I've been to Byron's meeting. I tell everybody that, as a politician, you see a lot of people running for office who want their vote, but after they get elected, you never see them again. So as far as a county commissioner, to get a pulse on what's happening in your district, you better go to your village and your city and your township meetings and everything and see what people want, what they're talking about. I know some of the things that can be classified as wants and needs. Right now, I'm on a mission that Byron needs those 2 dams replaced. They need new sluice gates, and that's $1 million. So I'm working on that. They also need money because they had an 8-inch municipal well that cracked the casing. It's going to cost them $180,000, so that's a funding problem too. And until I brought the issue to this board and everything, nobody knew anything about it. Well, that's why you've got to dig into people's problems, and the only way you know about those problems is you go to their meetings. And that's basically who I am, and I don't have a job other than looking at 37 seconds. I told you I wasn't going to use 5 minutes, but I got a little worried. But there's probably nothing I haven't done. But I would appreciate your support, and I've already hit the ground running for the last 6 months. So I thank you, board, for your consideration. And if you've got any questions, you can hit me in the next 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Vandermark.
Hello, my name is Rob Vandermark. Live in the Durand address, Byron area. I've been there my whole life. Worked for our family business, industrial propane service. Started from my grandparents in '68, and my dad took it over and then turned it over to my brother and my sister. Myself, we got 30-some employees there, and majority of them are from the Byron area, come from the Byron High School. I care a lot about our area, our town. Currently the school, or the DDA president for the village of Byron, and been at it since they started that in 2013, 14, I think. And this position came up available. I've been thinking a lot about it, and it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but sometimes you have to be put in a position like that. I think I could be helpful because I do have experience with boards. I'm the current president of the Michigan Propane Gas Association, and the secretary on the Shiawassee River Coalition too. I care a lot about our river that runs through our town and through our county, and about encouraging more growth in the outdoor activities, things like that, with the boardwalks and the bike paths and things. I care about small business, being from small business, and revitalizing small towns. I hate to see them fade away, and I want to make sure their voice is heard. So I think being a district commissioner for that area would be helpful. So you guys have your work cut out for you. There's a lot of good candidates here tonight. I'm glad to see people step up. So look forward to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think it's pronounced Zale Edward Dendabus.
I'm Zale Vandenbos. Pretty hard to beat all these other guys that go to college and all these other degrees, and I want to say everything that they said. But the only thing they're lacking is common sense. And I got a lot of common sense of doing things the right way, not leaving out the middle class people, the poor people, the rich people. It all should be brought together and combined everything as people know what the people want, what the people need. Started out at high school logging and got hired into GM. Retired from GM when Buick closed. Went into farming and started an excavation business. Was on the fire department for 24 years, secretary for 10 years. Made my way up to assistant chief. It was pretty demanding and a pretty good thing to do, serving the people, and that's what I want to do now. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time I'd like to open it up to the fellow commissioners for any questions for the candidates, any general comments, discussions, preferences, basically anything. Anyone want to? If not, I'll get us started on that then. I noted my own personal, I guess, if you want to say this, emphasis on this board has been the county's fiscal situation. I noticed two candidates specifically mentioned being interested in the fiscal situation. I think I first have a question for, let's see, it was Mr. Howard. What do you know about the county's current fiscal situation?
Yeah, so I know that we are in the process of bonding our MERS debt, and that's a large, very large chunk of money, and that with the low interest rates right now, it's a great time to do that, and hopefully we can set the county up to pay that off in the future and not have the citizens hit with the ballooning interest payments on that money for the MERS.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Finnegan, you also mentioned the fiscal. What are your thoughts on the future fiscal situation in this county and what we can do about it?
I think part of the problems that this small county has is that MERS is one thing, though I have to admit, I gladly take my pension check every month from the county, but MERS is a problem that has to be addressed. I think some other things have to be addressed, such as what we're going to do with our ARPA money. Obviously, that doesn't go into the general budget. Shiawassee County has a budget of about, what, $18 million, I think, a year. And it has to go a long way. So I think we have to be very careful as to where it goes. I think that labor negotiations are important. I realize that this county, compared to other counties, pays very poorly. And that also is a detriment. It's a detriment to getting good help. But we have to watch where the pennies go. We have to make sure we're not overextending ourselves, buying things, building things, expanding things that this county can't afford. So I think watch our pennies, make sure that we properly fund MERS so that all the retirees have the same benefit that I have, and stay on top of where our budget is going. $18 million for a county of 70,000 people isn't a whole lot of money. We gotta be careful with it.
Thank you. Before I jump in with any other questions, anyone?
I have a question for Mr. Howard, actually. You mentioned that you were formerly the township supervisor for Burns, I believe?
Correct.
Did you choose not to run, or did you lose an election?
Yeah, I ran and I lost by a handful of votes.
Okay.
Yes.
dominate this. Mr. Vanden Boss, you've done work with the county previously, correctly? Correct. Have you done work for the county since 2018?
Yes,
So you're currently working, you're still doing the work for the drain officer?
excavation work for the road commission and the drain commission.
Okay, and it is your intention to continue to do that
No,
work?
actually, I want to slack off. I don't like cold weather.
I was just wondering about what you thought, whether if you're going to continue that, and whether you thought there might be any difficulty because you end up being in effect an employee of the county, sort of on both sides. I'm not saying there
Yeah.
is. I'm
No,
just asking you what your opinion
You know,
is.
it's, and that's a good thing, but I think they have me do the job because not only that I'm the lowest bidder, but I do a good job. And I do extras, if something extra needs to be done, I just do it. And normally don't even bill them for doing it because the engineers didn't engineer it quite perfectly, that when you draw things up, you don't get it in like what it is in the field.
All right, I only for some reason have the figures through 2018. It looks like you have billed about $268,000, and there has been more since then.
Yep.
I know very little about about your work. I know it's important work to keep our drains clear.
Yep.
Well,
a lot of it was the dead ash trees. You know, we had that ash disease and all them trees tipped over in these ditches and completely plugged them. And it's kind of horrible.
Okay. Other questions?
I don't have any specific questions, but I read all the resumes and listened to them, so I think I'm, can make some kind of decision.
Okay, does anybody want to say anything positive, negative, push for a candidate? Or if not, I'm going to move on to nominations. Okay, then at this time, I would open the floor for anyone who would like to move to nominate a candidate.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Dina Finnegan.
Okay, I have a motion. Eric, I can take all motions for nominations at this time. Is that right?
Is there support for it?
I thought we were going to. My understanding was we would be taking nominations like we did for chairman, and no support was necessary, and we pull in all nominations.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I would nominate Brad Howard.
We now have a nomination for Dina Finnegan and one for Brad Howard. Are there any others? All right, we have 2 nominations right now. Discussion of those candidates. Marlene, did you want to start us off?
Well, I would just say that I believe that Ms. Finnegan has a broad knowledge of our county and has served well and demonstrated that. We are selecting, it is our responsibility to select a person, but we are selecting someone who represents District 5. And I feel a little uncomfortable with electing somebody who people in District 5 did not elect. And so, demonstrated by a past election, Mr. Howard wasn't elected. I feel like we would be imposing somebody on some District 5 people that they didn't re-elect. So, and I feel like she just can really hit the ground running, knows so much about the county and how it operates, and would be a great person to fill this seat. And I really appreciated her admitting her mistake. We all make mistakes, but she admitted that. We all do the best we can. We make mistakes sometimes, but not blaming other people and just stepping forward and saying, I messed up. I just think that demonstrates the kind of transparency that we need here.
Thank you. Anyone else? Did you want to? What? All right. Then I'll throw in my 2 cents worth, if I may. Call on myself, so to speak. I was pleased that Mr. Howard had a grasp of what we're doing financially at the county, because I think that is, to me, the 800-pound gorilla in the county is our finances here, and the desperate situation I liked what Dina said about our finances and watching them, and I did like her experience. I appreciate it. I very much, just as a side note, appreciated how she stepped in for us at the prosecutor's office. I am personally a little bit concerned that her history with the county can be both a plus and a negative. That you can't be here for, wow, I won't ask you how many years. I don't want to embarrass you.
30, it's okay.
I was going to say more than 5.
Yes.
And of course, being a human being, that leads you with certain notions about, and again, that can be for good or bad, for things, how things are, and sort of who's good guy, who's bad guy, who the players are. Just, you develop human biases. So I think both candidates, to tell you the truth, are quite excellent. Both have their strengths.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I would like to thank everyone who applied. I was really surprised. We had 6 candidates. I'm very tickled about that. And quite frankly, each has strong points. And actually, several of them would be good commissioners. It's kind of a tough choice. So, just like to mention.
Anything else? It's moving along a lot faster than I expected. All right then, at this time we are going to do a roll call vote, and may I remind you how this will be working. Each of us will say the last name of the candidate who is our preference among the 2 who were nominated. So you will say either Howard or Finnegan. Caroline, please.
Commissioner Webster,
Finnegan,
Commissioner Holzhausen,
Howard.
Commissioner Garber,
Howard.
Commissioner Marks is absent, Commissioner Plowman,
Howard.
and Chairman Broder.
Howard.
Commissioner Howard.
That would mean congratulations to Howard. You will be appointed to fill the seat.
Do you swear him in today?
Are we going to swear in today at this meeting, or will that be after? That's probably after the meeting.
Do you have the oath? Brian, do you have an oath of office?
We might have one in the email. We can do it probably right after.
All right, then we'll take care of that. If you'd stay around. Then at this time, thank you all again for your participation. Thank you for your time, and this meeting is adjourned.
Mr. Chairman, one more.
What? Oh, I apologize. There was another item. Excuse me, another item. Dr. Boggs needed to make an announcement.
I just wanted to let everyone know that Mike Reeves in Veterans and myself applied for a grant, and that we received $90,000 from the state towards that project of rehabbing the Veterans Center. So with the money that the Board of Commissioners has already set aside, we have $120,000 of funds available for that work to commence.
And that's a wonderful thing. This has been something that Commissioner Webster has been mentioning.
Garber.
Commissioner Garber, excuse me, I apologize to both. Commissioner Garber has been honest about for some time. Public comment is done. You can speak individually to people after the meeting if you'd like. So again,
Thank you.
thank you for that announcement. That is wonderful news. And this meeting is adjourned.
Well,
Sorry about
said
that.
I should speak
It's okay.
now, so I'm going to speak now.